50 ships, 2,000 miles of open sea. One mission: break the blockade of Gaza. They never made it. Somewhere west of Cyprus, Israeli naval commandos descended on the first vessel of the Global Sumud Flotilla in broad daylight. The world watched. The cameras rolled. 16 years ago, a flotilla like this ended in blood. This time, the world is watching closer. Somewhere west of Cyprus, Israeli naval commandos boarded the first vessel of the Global Sumud Flotilla. Around 50 ships had set out from the Turkish port of Marmaris 4 days earlier. They did not get far. The flotilla, organized by pro-Palestinian activists and carrying humanitarian aid, had been sailing toward Gaza to challenge Israel's naval blockade of the territory. Israel had issued a blunt warning hours before the interception, calling the mission a provocation and demanding that all participants turn back immediately. They did not.
Military vessels are currently intercepting our fleet, and IOF forces are boarding the first of our boats in broad daylight. We demand safe passage for our legal, non-violent humanitarian mission. Governments must act now to stop these illegal acts or piracy meant to maintain Israel's genocidal siege on Gaza. Normalization of the occupation's violence is a threat to us all.
This is the third flotilla attempt in a year. The second was stopped in international waters off Greece on April 30th, with most activists expelled back to Europe. 2 were detained inside Israel for several days before being deported. Rights groups called the arrests unlawful and said the men were mistreated in custody. Israeli authorities denied the abuse allegations, but brought no charges. The history goes back further. In May 2010, Israeli commandos boarded the Mavi Marmara, a Turkish vessel part of an earlier attempt to reach Gaza. The raid turned violent, and 10 activists were killed. It took years for Turkish-Israeli relations to recover. Organizers of the current flotilla say Gaza's population of over 2 million people faces acute shortages of food, medicine, water, and fuel. Israel disputes this, maintaining that sufficient aid has entered the territory through official channels, citing over 1.58 million tons since October 2025 alone. The interception has drawn international attention at a time when Gaza remains under blockade and ceasefire negotiations have repeatedly stalled. The flotilla's organizers had structured the mission as a direct, public challenge to what they call an illegal siege. Israel insists the blockade is lawful and necessary. Whether the ships get through or not, the images of naval commandos boarding civilian vessels in open water have a way of traveling further than the boats themselves ever could. On April 30th, Israeli naval forces seized dozens of boats carrying pro-Palestinian activists in international waters near the Greek island of Crete, more than 965 kilometers from Gaza. The ships had set sail from Barcelona on April 12th, carrying over 180 civilians from across the world, bound for Gaza with humanitarian aid. What happened next has drawn condemnation from governments across Europe and sparked serious questions about the use of force at sea. Activists say IDF soldiers beat them hard. One unnamed activist, speaking in video footage released by the Global Sumud Flotilla, described the ordeal this way.
We're taking for 40 hours, 60 people, which were a third of the people that were with us, are on hunger strike. The other 120 people did not have enough food or water with them. We were forced to sleep on the floor, and the floor was flooded repeatedly with water, and we were beaten several times with our hands tied in our backs.
Another activist showed their face to the camera.
If you can see, my nose is probably broken. My ribs are hurting bad, and probably something, maybe also broken, I don't know, and my neck also. They were kicking and they were punching and they were dragging us over the floor, and we even heard them shooting at people.
The flotilla organizers said in a statement that their crew attempted peaceful resistance when Israeli forces moved to arrest two specific activists, Palestinian Spanish Saif Abu Keshek and Brazilian Thiago Avila. Both men were singled out and taken to Israel for questioning. Israel's foreign ministry said Abu Keshek was suspected of affiliation with a terrorist organization and Avila of illegal activity. The organizers called it kidnapping. They filed a formal complaint in Rome. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni demanded
Israel should immediately release all the unlawfully detained Italians.
Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said his government was doing everything necessary to protect and assist the detained Spaniards, and accused Israel directly of violating international law. By Friday, May the 1st, 168 activists had been transferred to Greek vessels and taken ashore to Crete. Israel has been firm. Its foreign ministry called the flotilla a PR stunt.
This Hamas-led flotilla is another provocation designed to divert attention from Hamas's refusal to disarm and to serve the PR interests of professional provocateurs. Saif Abu Keshek, suspected of affiliation with a terrorist organization, and Thiago Avila, suspected of illegal activity, will be brought to Israel for questioning.
But the images coming out of Crete told a different story. Italian newspaper Corriere della Sera published photographs of activists with visibly bruised faces. The flotilla's organizers described what they say happened after Israeli forces disabled their boats, that soldiers smashed an engine, jammed communications, and then, in their words, intentionally left civilians stranded on powerless, broken vessels in the path of an approaching storm. This was not the first time. Last October, Israel stopped the previous Global Sumud Flotilla, arresting and deporting more than 470 people, including Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg. Meanwhile, inside Gaza, the picture remains dire. A senior United Nations official told the Security Council this week that Gaza's 2.1 million people are facing ongoing and deadly Israeli strikes and dire humanitarian conditions, with water, sanitation, and health services again on the brink of collapse,